King tide is a common name for extra high tides that are caused when the sun and the moon align and the moon is in much closer orbit. We get them every year, a couple of times a year. We're here at the city of Miami Beach right now, and we're collecting some tidal floodwaters that are coming in from this king tide, which is just a normal extra high tide that we get. It's just that this is now happening higher and higher every year, so we get more and more flooding every year. In this particular king tide study, there are several universities involved along with NOAA. So I'm from the Atlantic Oceanographic and Meteorological Laboratory. That is a NOAA laboratory here in Miami. We also have Florida International University, and in particular the Southeast Environmental Research Center. They are conducting most of the field work and providing a lot of the logistics and how to collect the actual samples. We have Nova Southeastern University involved and University of Miami involved, and of course the city of Miami Beach and the other municipalities that we're looking at. Scientists are collecting the water samples with sterile bottles and sterile tubes, and they use a sanitized bucket that they're collecting from the seawater from. They're also collecting water directly from the pumps, the pump discharge waters, and from the canals. After they get them, they filter them and they look at the amount of nutrients that are in them with nutrient analyzers. They look at the levels of chlorophyll in them. We take them and we filter them for total DNA extraction, and we look at all the different organisms and we sequence the DNA and we look for contaminating bacteria, disease-causing bacteria, things known as pathogens, to try to get an idea of how healthy the floodwater is or what kind of contaminants might be in it that people would be exposed to. So there's two big problems with tidal flooding. One is the volume of water, but the other is the quality of the water, the contamination that might be picked up from the urban landscape. So if you have to wade through floodwaters, there could be bacterial contaminants, there could be chemical contaminants. There are also unseen dangers. It hides open holes, broken glass, sharp rocks, things. So if you can't see where you're walking, that's a potential danger. There could also be things dissolved in the floodwaters. So we're trying to get an idea of what kind of contaminants are getting picked up to these floodwaters and what might be carried back into the environment. As they're carried back into the environment, they could impact fishes and coral reefs and the aquatic life that's in the area. And if they have disease-causing organisms, they could also expose people to those. This research project by NOAA and its academic partners ultimately seeks to better understand the patterns and the mechanisms of floodwater contamination to help vulnerable communities find solutions and to become more resilient. This research will also enable scientists to better understand and predict the future impacts of such coastal tidal flooding on humans and environmental health in an era of increasing sea level and more frequent flooding.